Hi all, this is Eric again from SKXMOD. So what we have here today is a simple unboxing for GM-2100 and of course, a modern kit installation tutorial for you. Yes, we made a new Casioak adaptation specifically for GM-2100 as well. Let's stop dwelling on the packaging, get the show started and see what's inside. A hexagon metal box like what Casioak did with their GA-2100 line. Papers, cushion foam, and the watch itself wrapped in extra layer of plastics, as always. So in this time we chose the silver colorway for the demonstration and unboxing. It catches the light better, don't you think? You know what, I always wonder why Casio go with the metal and rubber theme way after many third party did, but still you have to give it to them. The finishing on the dial and hour markers is just marvelous. For a $200 watch, I think there's none as functional and fashionable as this one. Well, as I said, the unboxing part is going to be simple, nothing to really watch anyway, nothing particular. So for those of you familiar with this tray, yes, here we go again, the same SKXMOD modding kit. However, with a little twist this time for the GM series. Well, twist how? Just to wait. And let's get them out one by one, shall we? The case. And the bracelet. And now the most essential part of this mod. Without this, I'm pretty much sure you can't finish it. But do notice here, in this tiny white package, is a hex wrench for you to remove the original case. Because this time around, unlike the GA series, Casio decided to use hex screws on the GMs. And our good old bolts and screws. The green one for the bracelet to connect with the case. The transparent one is screws for securing the case. Alright, let's clean up a bit and leave some space for our mod. First step, of course, you have to remove the original rubber band and the metal case. Casio always have this quick release system. You can just use one of our screwdrivers to pull down the tab on the spring bar, like what I'm doing here. Now let's move on to the case. You have to use our hex wrench to remove those hex screws. That's pretty intuitive, right? Here we go, just in this tiny little bag. Well, do as I say, not as I do, kids. There's a Ziploc seal you can reuse on this bag. Anyway, you use the shorter side to untighten the screws first because you have a better torque, and the longer side to remove the screws faster because you have a better spin. Remember, they have a washer-like red plastic thingy as well. Please don't lose it. It's very important if you want to, put it back together as the original form, and you need that, so please don't forget it and maybe put it into one of our bags that we give you. And the rest is pretty easy. Do the same procedure to the remaining 3 of them. Voila! That's how it looks like with all the screws removed. All you need now is a little push to get it popped out with the inner carbon core, which is totally different from the GA-2100 series structures. Now the case assembly. You see, because we added a crown this time, you have to watch out for the case orientation. But it's okay if you're a lefty and want to install it backwards. It's all good. Also because it's a tie fit, you have to use a little bit of elbow grease to really get it firmly fit in. There's gonna be a nice tap when you get it done correctly. If the case is flush to the inner carbon core, then you're good to go. Now use our screws to secure the case. Remember, our screws. Get a bag of screws out, and there's 5 of them, 1 for spare. As for the screwdriver, use the 2mm one. Remember, don't screw it too far down, or it might ruin the threads inside the case. As long as it's properly tightened and not sticking out, then you're all good. Now just finish the 3 of them, the remaining 3 of them. Now that's how it looks like when it's assembled, polished and satin finishing evenly distributed. Compared to the original pressure stamped case, ours are injection molded with the finest powder, then carefully crafted the shape by hand. For the bracelet, you can install it from either side without minding the orientation. And after you connect them together, place the bolts in the threaded side. Speaking of which, bolts for bracelet are different from the ones for rubber band. The bracelet ones are threaded and the rubber band ones are not. For example, the bolts we made had a smaller end for you to better fit it in. And you should use the 1.5mm screwdriver to tighten it. Here's a nice trick for you guys in order to avoid strip screws. You should first make a few turns counterclockwise. When you hear a little tap, that's the thread started to catch in. And then make it turn clockwise. It should be very smooth. Now you just repeat the same thing on the other side. And the modern kit has successfully installed to your GM-2100. Unlike the GA series plastic appearance, the GM series is really making a nice match to it, robust and elegant at the same time. And this blue bit is not a defect, just a protective film we put on in the factory. You can use water and tissue to scrub it off quite easily. The links removal is quite easy as well. You can put it on your wrist first and estimate the length, meaning how many links you're gonna remove. And then you see there are 4 removable links on each side of the bracelet. All it takes just a screwdriver and a steady hand. See, it's not that hard. And when you install the links back in, don't forget to use the little trick I told you. And let's move on to the rubber band, mostly the same thing but slightly different on minor details. As I said, this is a pack of bolts without the threads. First, you pick a side to install the rubber band. I choose the one with the clasps on. And you use the bolt to install into the either side of the holes. When it's halfway in, it will get tighter and tighter, so you'll need something else to give it a little push. Because many people found the double-sided screws we used before is rather hard to maneuver, and more parts were involved, therefore easier to lose the parts. So we switched to this friction-fitted method, which is way easier and more intuitive. And there you go, that's how you install our rubber band. See? And let's talk about the deploying clasp, because there is certain methods to install it and uninstall it to change it into pin buckle we use. So a clasp was installed by double-sided screws. Normally I would unscrew it, but to demonstrate a bit for our rubber band, you can actually just yank it out. It's more resilient than you imagined. For every set of rubber bands sold, we pair with both deploying clasp and pin buckle. And it's not your ordinary AliExpress pin buckle. Much like our rubber band, we SKXMOD also make this on our own. So, one thing about installing the pin buckle, you should always look out for the orientation of the tongue. It should look like a downward hook. That is the most challenging bit, but the rest is pretty simple. Get a piece of spring bar and thread it through the hole, connecting the tongue and the band together. Next, put away the tongue, leave it on the upper side of the band. If you look carefully, there are two dimples inside the buckle, where you can squeeze the spring bar and let it stretch in between. You can use your fingernail or screwdriver or literally anything with a flat surface to do that for you. But you might need some fine adjustment to wiggle around. Let the tip of the spring bar fall into those dimples. Trust me, you know when it's in. To make sure it's really in, you can give it a few good pull. If it didn't slip, then you're all good. Last but not least, you might wondering how should I remove it then? Well, first take out your screwdriver. Place the tip on the spring bar, either side is fine. You'll see there's a wedge on the spring bar you can pry. It just slips out so naturally. Let's make a close-up using the screwdriver. And the buckles is come right back in. I think that's pretty much it for today's installation tutorial, and we'll see you the next time. Bye.